Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Daryan Jones. I'm the Caregiver Education and Digital Specialist at Care Partners. During this time of the COVID epidemic and everything that's going on, we are still dedicated to providing support, education, and resources to family caregivers, and of course, our clients and everyone who's stuck at home right now. We would love to hear from you guys, whatever you guys are doing at home to stay busy. If you guys, we have you can go to our website and download the in-home gathering place guide. If you guys are doing any of those activities, we would love to hear from you guys and just see what you guys have been up to. So you can email us at info@carepartnerstexas.org. But in the meantime, today we have a very special guest. Carmalyn McCracken is going to be joining us today. She's going to be speaking to us about how to find joy. And so without further ado, I'm just going to bring her up. Hi, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good.
Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what you're going to be talking about today?
Sure. So my name is Carmalyn, and I consider myself a joyologist. I specialize in helping others find joy. I am a life coach and a public speaker, and I basically work with people to help them find joy during the good, the bad, and the ugly. So hopefully I'll give you all some tips today to just kind of shift your focus a little bit. So even when you're having a bad day or a hard day, you'll still be able to find joy.
And I think it's so important to, even in this crazy time, we're feeling a bit more stressed and everything, we can still find joy even in the littlest parts of our lives. And I think that's what kind of we're going to be talking about. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll just let you take it away.
All right. Thanks, Daryan. I appreciate it. Okay. So welcome to my house. You might see my cats running around in the background. Actually, let's see. There's one sleeping right there and another one running around. But today what I wanted to do is just kind of talk to you about how do you find joy daily. And right now, all of our routines are different. Our schedules are different. We are finding all sorts of new different ways that we're struggling throughout, right? So what I wanted to do is just kind of remind you some things that you probably already know, but maybe you haven't thought about in a while, or maybe you hadn't practiced it in a while. And so hopefully I'll give you a couple tips by the end of this 15 minutes or so that will help you shift a little bit to find more joy in your daily life. So first of all, I thought it's important to explain the difference between joy and happiness, because a lot of times people kind of interchange them, and even sometimes I do. You know, you see a lot of cliche things out there like choose happy or whatnot, but as you can see, everything's mirrored here. I love the word joy, and I'm going to tell you why now. So here's a couple differences between joy and happiness. First of all, you cannot be happy without being joyful, but you can be joyful without being happy. Joy is continuous. Happiness is fleeting. Joy goes all the way to the bone. Happiness is kind of skin deep. Joy is a permanent and settled, and it abides all the time, whereas happiness is temporary and fickle. And actually, the word happiness comes from the Latin word fortuna, which means when things are good, you feel happy. Right? So when things are going good, oh, I'm happy. But what about when things are not going good? You're not feeling so happy, but that's okay, because joy is always there, even on our dark days. Joy is based on choice. Happiness is based on chance. Again, when you're feeling lucky, you feel happy, right? So joy, I love this visual. Joy is sort of like a fire made of oak. Oak embers that give off heat all night long, way after the flames have died down. So you just see that warm glow of the oak fire, right? Whereas happiness is sort of like a fire made out of pine, where it kind of explodes and there's a lot of fancy flames and excitement. And then it kind of dies down quickly and it grows cold. So now that I've kind of showed you a couple different ways that joy and happiness differ, let's figure out, where is joy then, right? Okay. So first of all, I like to say this. I read this years and years ago, and I use it regularly, that there's no magic trick to finding joy. It's not a hocus pocus where you need your magic wand and then joy will appear. But joy is focus. not hocus pocus. And what that means is it's focus, focus. What are you focusing on? That's where you'll find joy, right? So you have to start looking for it, and you'll see it come around daily, regularly, throughout your day. So it's not a magic trick. It's not hocus pocus. The question is, what are you looking for? When you wake up every morning, are you intentional about thinking, what does this day have ahead for you? Are you thinking, I'm going to look for positive things? Maybe I'm going to look for butterflies in the garden. The funny thing about when you realize you're looking for something is it starts appearing more and more and more. And then it does feel like magic. They say that if you have to move even 10 inches from where you are right now to find happiness, to find joy, that you will never find it. Because you know what? Joy is not in the future. It's not in the past. It's in the present. It's the right now, right here. So as you're sitting self-isolating at home by yourself or with your loved ones, you can be asking yourself, where is joy right now? Because if you have to move even 10 inches from where you are to find it, you will never find it. So let's go on. There was a story of a woman walking down the street carrying a cup of coffee, and someone bumped into her and spilled the coffee. And the lady said, well, why did you spill your coffee? And she said, well, because you bumped into me. And the lady said, no, you spilled your coffee because that's what your cup was full of. I heard that and I just loved it, because that reminded me that what we are, oh, I got a little friend visiting me here. What we are full of is what spills out when we hit a bump in the road. It's what spills out when we hit a difficult time. So when stress comes, what spills out of you? Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it envy? Or is it joy? Is it gratitude? While we're in this crazy self-isolation, and we have a lot of fear and we have a lot of questions, that's when it's important to really build our joy factor. Because we need to know that even when the times are tough and we get knocked over or knocked around, that's what's going to spill out of us, is our gratitude and our sense of calm. So how do you do that? Well, that's what we're going to spend a few minutes now talking about, is our gratitude. You know, it's such a cliche word anymore. Everyone's like, oh, gratitude journals, what are you grateful for? But I don't feel like people are actually practicing it. And research shows that if you practice writing down 5 things a day for 21 days that you're grateful for, your life will not look the same. 5 things a day for 21 days. This is science. This isn't just me telling you that, but this is science. If you write down 5 things a day you're grateful for, you will start changing the chemistry in your brain. You will start realizing how much you've been missing, how much you have to be grateful for. So how do you do that? You know, I always say, I'm a life coach. I am not a exercise coach. I will never tell you to go to the gym and sweat. That's not my thing. I hate that. But I am a joy coach. And what I will do is I will send you to the joy gym. I want you to build these muscles that you have not used in a long time. And our gratitude muscle is one of those. And often it has become so weak that we don't even know how to use it. So when you first start using these gratitude practices that I'm going to talk about, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel forced, right? So kind of like when you go to the gym and maybe you learn a new exercise, or on YouTube, maybe you're doing yoga right now with a YouTube, or I just started tap classes online. Oh my gosh. If we had more time, I would tap for you, but we don't. Anyways, the point is that when you learn a new routine, a new tap dance, a new yoga pose, a new exercise at the gym, you feel awkward and it doesn't feel right. And then the next day, it's actually kind of sore in places you didn't even know you had, right? Well, using your gratitude muscles is the same thing. In the beginning, it's going to feel forced. It's going to feel like awkward. You may not understand why you're doing it. But you'll start to notice it gets easier and easier as you do it. And you'll start noticing how good you feel, that you didn't even know you could feel that good. just like exercising at the gym. So if your gratitude muscles are kind of weak right now, and it's understandable because you know what? We are being challenged big time by this whole COVID-19. We are in our homes. We are not able to go out and do our regular routines, see people we care for. So right now it's hard. So what can you do to build your gratitude muscles? What I want you to do is think about your 5 senses. So right now, I want you to all look around your room and say, what is something I see that I am grateful for? So for me, I see my little cat running around and I see this other cat sleeping. So that's something I see. What is something you hear right now that you could be grateful for? So just stop and listen. I hear dogs barking, and I've seen more dogs being walked by their owners right now. Maybe you hear my voice and these tips, and that's something to be grateful for. Maybe you have some really great music playing in the other room. What is something you smell that you could be grateful for? That first smell of coffee in the morning, that's a good one. Or perhaps you already have something in the crock pot cooking for tonight's dinner. You can be grateful for that. What is something you taste that you can be grateful for? Cold, fresh water, some peppermint gum maybe you're chewing. And then the 5th sense is what is something you feel that you can be grateful for? So I feel my soft cat and I get to pet her, and that makes me so grateful that I have her here. So that's the easiest way to start building your gratitude practice. What is something you see? What is something you smell? What is something you taste? What is something you hear? And what is something you feel? And then that gives you 5 right away. Sometimes when we're working on gratitude, we think of the really big ones. Like if I were to ask you, what are you grateful for right now? Often I hear my family, my grandkids, my church, my health, right? Those are the big ones. If we stop after thinking about the big things we're grateful for, there's a problem with that, because often the big things that we're grateful for, like family, kids, church, my job, whatever, those can also be some of our causes of stress, right? So maybe you're having a bad day with the weather outside, or maybe you're having a bad day because you're stressed out because of your grandkids are screaming and it's really loud or whatnot. So it's important to have those big things that we're grateful for, the ones that we always come to first on our list. But it's all the in-betweens. It's the little things every day that we need to be grateful for. It's noticing the sunshine and the way it glistens after the sprinklers have just run on the grass in the morning, and it's like a field of diamonds. It's all the butterflies we see outside in the yards right now. It's listening to the laughter or the dogs and the cats meowing and barking as they're outside playing. It's the little things. It's having cold water. You know, after Harvey happened, so many of us were without electricity. So many of us had water in our houses, right? So now, even though everything's crazy, we can say, I'm so grateful my air conditioning is working. I'm so grateful there's no flooding. So think of some of the things throughout your day. When you first wake up, what is it you could be grateful for? You know, they call it an alarm clock when it goes off in the morning and it rattles you and it alarms you that your day is beginning. But I don't like that. I like to call it an opportunity clock, because you know what? That gives you another opportunity to get up and live. And that's the first and easiest thing to be grateful for today, right? That we are alive and we are breathing. So start to shift as you're going through your day. You could write down things on a piece of paper. Maybe you take pictures throughout the day of things you're grateful for and send them to a family member. You can have a little journal, but it doesn't have to be fancy. You could write on a paper napkin while you get your takeout from Burger King, right? I am grateful that I have my French fries today, or whatever. It doesn't have to be fancy, but I promise you, the more you shift into the gratitude, the better you will feel throughout your days. the more joy you will find. So really quick, I have a few more minutes with you and then I'm going to wrap up. But while you're trying to figure out how to get through your days and where you can kind of alter something to find a little more joy during these stressful times, there's 4 things that if you have even 20 minutes a day or less, you can alter the chemistry in your brain by doing these things. The first one is move your body. Whether you're going to be doing some stretching, practicing your tap dancing like I'm doing, maybe learning a new yoga pose on YouTube, or even just marching in place, less than 20 minutes a day and it gets the blood flowing and it starts to open up and tell your brain, I feel good. So move your body. Number 2, practice gratitude. I've already talked about that one. Number 3, maybe take a walk outside or sit outside on your porch for a few minutes. Take your shoes and socks off and just feel the cold grass under your feet. Let the sunshine soak on your skin for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be hours, even 10 minutes outside on the porch. And number 4, smile. Research shows that by smiling, let me see here. I wanted to tell you this one here. Repeated studies have shown that even a forced smile will lower your heart rate, decrease stress, and increase your feelings of joy. So while you're looking at this video right now, I want you to smile at me, even if it has to be fake. They say if you can engage your crow's feet and get your eyes smiling, it actually intensifies the chemical release into your brain. That's called the Duchenne smile, the smile that activates the muscles around your eyes and forms crow's feet. Oh, and guess what? As I'm getting older, I just celebrated a birthday a few days ago. My crow's feet are bigger when I smile. I don't care. I feel good. And I hope you do too. So with that, I hope I've given you a couple things to think about. To remember, even when you're not happy, you can find joy. Practice gratitude 5 things a day for 21 days. Move a little bit. Take a walk outside. Smile. These are some things with proven results. I know it's hard right now. I know we are all wanting to get back to normal routines. But in the meantime, let's realize how grateful we are, how much we have to be grateful for. I'm going to close with this quick little reading. A famous writer was in his study and he began writing. Number 1, last year my gallbladder was removed. I was in bed for a long time. Number 2, the same year I reached the age of 60 and had to leave my favorite job. I spent 30 years with the publishing company. Number 3, the same year my father died. Number 4, the same year my son failed his medical exam because he had a car accident. He was hospitalized with a cast on his leg for several days. The destruction of the car was a second loss. His concluding statement said, alas, it was a bad year. When the writer's wife entered the room, she found her husband looking dejected and sad, and she read what he had written over his shoulder. She left the room and came back with another piece of paper and handed it to him. And she said, read this. And he said, last year, I finally got rid of my gallbladder, which has given me many years of pain. Number 2, I turned 60 with sound health and retired from my job. Now I can utilize my time to write with more focus and peace. Number 3, the same year my father died at the age of 95 without depending on anyone, without any critical conditions, and he met his creator. Number 4, the same year God blessed my son with his life. My car was destroyed, but my son was alive and without permanent disability. This year was an immense blessing. The question is, how are you looking at your days? How are you focusing on what's going on in your life? There's always 2 ways to look at everything. Alas, it was a bad day, or what an immense blessing today was. So I challenge you to look for joy, because I promise you it's there. It's not hocus pocus. It's focus. Look for joy and you will find it. I wish you all well. I hope that we can all see each other soon and hug each other and say hello. In the meantime, please check out my website, yougotjoy.com. Find me on Facebook, You Got Joy here on Facebook. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. I wish you all well.
I love how you incorporate the whole 5 senses, because it's your whole body you can use every single part of your body to improve your mood.
Absolutely. And it's an easy tip to remind us when we feel like, oh, everything's so bad. We could say, wait, what do I smell? What do I hear? Yes.
I loved that. It was a really good little trick. I'm definitely going to use that.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Those are all amazing tips, and it's really important for us to shift our focus and just find joy in all the little things.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I love our care partners, and I love being part of the community. So I appreciate you inviting me today.
Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for joining us today as well. And for everyone who's going to be watching this later, we are so glad that you took the time to join us. You can get more resources and education on our website at carepartnerstexas.org. We're also doing the twice weekly teleconference Common Ground support group for caregivers. You can find some more information on our website about how to get involved in that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow with another live segment. Have a great rest of your day.